Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 46, Euthyphro 8b to d. Socrates had asked for something which is common to all things holy, as if this will explain to him what the holy is, and Euthyphro said that the holy is what is loved by the gods. Euthyphro didn't understand why Socrates then started asking about the causes of disputes, but he did agree that there are sorts of disputes which can be settled simply by measuring, calculating, weighing. But there are some disputes where this is impossible, for example, in matters of good, beautiful, and just. For some reason, Euthyphro also agreed that people who are in disagreement about something grow to hate each other. This is not necessary, it's very unreasonable, but this is what he thinks. He has been groomed by Socrates to think that this is the reason why the gods hate each other. But the outcome of all this is that Socrates can then sort of prove to Euthyphro that there is no such thing as something loved by the gods, because anything loved by one god is hated by another god. This isn't a real proof, because as even Socrates shows at the moment that he's pretending to prove this, the gods in question already hate each other. If Zeus thinks something is holy and loves it, other gods who hate him will hate that thing. And when Hephaestus loves something, his mother Hera will hate it, because they are already not on the best of terms. All Socrates had to say in the very first place was that there are gods who hate other gods, and therefore they disagree over what should be loved. That is it. There is no need, strictly speaking, to add all of the argument about the subject of dispute and how resolvable some disputes are. But it is necessary for something else, because in this way Socrates has engineered the argument to link the holy with the just. What Zeus finds just he loves and is therefore holy, but Uranus and Kronos will find it unjust and they will hate it. Euthyphro takes a step towards solving this problem, not because he's a philosopher, but because he always thinks of himself. I am a special case, and all the gods love me. Well, he doesn't actually say that, but he says something very close to it. Al oimai o Socrates perigetutu ton theonu denaheton hetero diaferesthai hos u dei dicen didonai ekenon hosan adikos tina apoktene. But I think, Socrates, about this at least, none of the gods disagrees or differs from any other god that it isn't necessary for someone to pay the penalty who kills someone unjustly. From Euthyphro's point of view, his father killed someone unjustly, and it is holy for Euthyphro to prosecute him. In other words, all the gods love him for prosecuting his father. No god disagrees that his father should not pay the penalty for killing someone unjustly. Euthyphro isn't claiming that justice is loved by the gods and injustice is hated by the gods. If that were the case, he would be saying that both justice and holiness are things which are loved by the gods. And one could make a case that justice and holiness are the same thing, because they share the same definition. As it is, Euthyphro isn't saying that what he is doing is just. in prosecuting his father. He's emphasizing that his father has killed someone unjustly, and that needs to be prosecuted in order to remove the miasma. Euthyphro is more concerned with tohosion than with justice. Another indicator that Euthyphro is more concerned with the holy than with justice is that he is already convinced that his father killed the man unjustly without going through due process. Socrates picks up on another point. Tide, anthropon, o Euthyphron, ede tinos ecusas amphisbetuntos hoston adikos apoktenanta e allo adikos poiunta hotiun ude dicen didonai. What then, Euthyphro? Of men, have you ever heard someone disputing that someone who has killed unjustly or has done anything else unjustly shouldn't pay the penalty? That is, it isn't the concept of justice itself which is at issue. Everyone's agreed that someone acting unjustly should pay the penalty. That isn't the problem. Notice that Socrates has widened the scope of unjust acts to include more than simply killing someone. He's trying to move Euthyphro away from his case at the moment for some reason. Euthyphro, who sees his father as already unjust before the trial has even begun, doesn't quite see Socrates' point. Udenmen un pauon tai tautam fispetuntes, kai alothicaen toisticas de riois, adicuntes gar pampola, panta poiusi kai legusi fuguntes ten dicen. Well, they don't stop disputing these things, especially in law courts, for although they commit very many injustices, they do and say everything while defending the case, literally fleeing justice. Quite a few people nowadays would agree with Euthyphro that many corrupt people will do anything in order to avoid being found guilty. But Socrates finds one thing that they don't do. E kai homologusin Euthyphron adicen, kai homologuntes homos uden fascis fastidonai dicen, udamos tutoge. Do they agree, Euthyphro, that they are committing injustice? And although they agree, nevertheless, they claim that they don't need to pay the penalty? Not at all on this point. Euthyphro is very emphatic in his denial because this is the case. Nobody ever agrees that they have committed injustice in order to avoid paying the penalty. And so Socrates can conclude, Uk ara pangepoiusi kai legusi, tutogar oimai utolmosi legen, ud amphisbeten, hos uchi e per adicusige doteon dicen, al oimai ufasin adicen, ega alethe leges. So they don't do and say everything. For this, I think, they don't dare to say or dispute that if they commit injustice, they shouldn't pay the penalty, but I think they claim that they aren't committing injustice. Isn't that so? You say true things. Uk are eke noge amphisbetusin, hos uton adicunta de didonai dicen, al ekeno issos amphisbetusin, to tis estin adicon, kai titron, kai pote, alethe leges. That, then, they don't dispute, as if the one committing injustice shouldn't pay the penalty, but that, perhaps, they do dispute. Who is the one who is committing injustice? What is he doing? And when? You say true things. Euthyphro repeats his previous answer because there isn't much else to say. This is true. This is what people do in court. They deny being the one who committed injustice. They are not considering whether injustice itself shouldn't have a penalty attached to it. That is why they want to say that they're not the ones who committed injustice, precisely to avoid the penalty. Note that both Socrates and Euthyphro seem to be very well versed in court procedure. Euthyphro must be well aware that his father will deny having committed injustice, and in fact we've already seen that this is the case. Euthyphro has been arguing with his family, who all tell him that he is in the wrong for prosecuting his father. Euthyphro evidently still thinks he has a good chance of winning his case, and we have already seen when Socrates was talking about Meletus that Euthyphro thinks that Euthyphro, is a great rhetorician. He can run circles around his opponents in court. This may explain why Euthyphro has said from the beginning that his father has murdered someone unjustly. So far as miasma is concerned, it's enough that his father has killed someone within the wider family, and the court case is in order to remove the miasma, whether his father is found guilty or innocent. A great rhetorician would add that the killing was illegal, that his father had done it unjustly, as a means to persuade the judges more easily that Euthyphro, should win the case. And then we might also speculate that this is why Euthyphro says that what happened among the gods involved justice and injustice, because clearly in mythology there is no justice or injustice. The gods just do what they want. But it strengthens Euthyphro's case to show that sons did something to their fathers because their fathers did something wrong. Uranos prevented his children from being born unjustly. Kronos prevented his children from being born by swallowing them unjustly. And this adds spurious weight to Euthyphro's argument that he is doing something against his father because his father also did something unjust. And in this case, killing someone appears to be unjust on the face of it. The only problem is that his father was following Athenian law by sending someone to Athens to find out from the religious interpreters what he should do with this person who had murdered yet another person in the wider family. This is a complicated case. Anyway, we'll get back to the definition of Halcyon the Holy next time.